like shaming and blaming my body for like, it didn't look this way. It wasn't perfect that way. I don't like that my ass is bigger, my thighs are bigger. I don't have boobs like the other girls. Like all the shit I'd said since I was like, 12 or 13. I was able to finally be like, oh my God, like, thank you. Today I want to talk a little bit about body image because it's a constant struggle, I think, for everyone. And I know everybody touts online like, body love, body acceptance, body positivity. And I agree 100%. But as a woman, as a person who's worked with eating disorder patients for, 15 years, I wanted to be honest about my own process so that if you're struggling, you're not alone, and hopefully it kind of helps normalize what you've been maybe going through. Now, to take you back, I remember middle school probably being the first time I was ever really aware of my body. And you might laugh. I have to laugh because if you don't laugh, what do? Just cry all day? But I remember being really self-conscious about the fact that a lot of my friends got boobs and I didn't. I mean, as a 38-year-old, thank God, because like, heaven help me. But I was super self-conscious about it. And I remember saving up my money to go buy a padded bra because I didn't want to tell my mom that I wanted one because she was like, you should love yourself, honey, like super supportive and loving. But I was like, no. You're not listening. I don't like this and I'm not happy, right? And so I would do my own to like make it work for me. And it was around that time that I remember also purchasing my first 2-piece swimsuit. And God bless my mom. We probably spent 2 hours at probably a Sears because I grew up in the middle of nowhere. It was like our closest mall, Sears or JCPenney, And we looked and looked and looked and looked and I hated them all. And this one made my butt too big and I didn't like my legs at that point. And it was just it was, again, one of the first experiences, it's like burned into my brain of me being aware of how I looked physically and actually caring about it and judging my body for doing what it was doing. And so that's probably, let's say me at like 12 or 13. Flash forward to high school, I started getting extremely involved in sports. And that was great. It was a great builder for my confidence and also for friendships because I played soccer and softball primarily and then basketball for a short period of time. And those are all team sports, right? And so it was great because I had a bunch of people around and we could talk about those things. And I think that's really important for all of us is to be able to talk about our insecurities and talk about the things that we're not liking, because at least I didn't feel alone with it, right? And I talk about that all the time, how important it is for us to not feel alone, but that was really pivotal for me in my life at that time. But there was also this like flip, I don't know if it's like a switch that was flipped, but something changed where I was like, I feel better when I'm working out because I associated sports with working out. And so when I got super stressed about getting broken up with from a boyfriend, whose name I won't mention, he probably doesn't watch us anyway, but we dated for like a month, but in middle school / high school, that's like your whole life. And you're like, oh my God. And it was horrible. And I was devastated. And when I would get upset or stressed out, I would go for runs. And if any of you have been watching me for a long time, back in the day, people would always ask like, well, how do you really understand eating disorders? Like, it seems like you really get it. And I think it's because of that relationship that I had with exercise for probably 6 years was not good. Like if I was maxed out, I would go for these crazy long runs. And I'm not going to obviously mention any numbers, but I would just like keep extending the amount that I had to run until, as a therapist, I realized, and even in my work in therapy, I realized that it was due to the fact that I would go until I was so tired that I couldn't think about anything anymore. It would just exhaust me. And then when you're running, if anybody's ever run, you almost can't really think about anything else because you're in the process of doing it. And so it became this like crutch. And it wasn't until I probably around when I met Sean and my dad passed away that my therapist was like, I think you need to evaluate your relationship with exercise. And I was like, get the fuck out. I don't want to hear from you. I don't even know how to deal with what's going on. I'm already maxed out. There's times when you like hate your therapist, but you love them at the same time. And I think that's when they're a good therapist. But anyway, she challenged me to like not go running for a week. And I was like, again, get the fuck out. I made it like 2 days, 3 days. And the anxiety that I felt and just the overwhelm was like too much. And so of course she was like, well, that's really helpful. And I was like, bitch, please, this is so uncomfortable for me. I hate this very much. And I don't even know what happened, but I remember I worked at this place called Jack and Jill's in Santa Monica. And I think it was, do you ever just feel like the universe is just looking out for you? There was a guy that came in there, and he came in there every day. He was super friendly. I don't think he was hitting on me or anything. He was just a nice guy. And me and another guy that worked there, he was like, hey, I'm teaching a class upstairs for yoga. It was, at the time it was called Brian Kest's Power Yoga East. It was the studio on 5th, and God, I love that place. And he was like, you should come up and try it out. And I was like, I'm a runner, dude. Like, I don't know about this, like, hold this thing for like 30 seconds. Like, that just does not sound like something I want to try. And he was like, give it a try. He's like, my class is really approachable. I'll help you make sure you're not going to hurt yourself. You know, he's like, you're a runner. You need to be stretching your hips out. And I was like, okay. So the guy that I worked with, he was like, let's try it. He's like, I've never done it either. We'll be the dummies in class. We'll be fine. We'll be in the back. And so we went up to take the class. And when I tell you it was fucking life-changing, I have run since then, but so minimally. And I think it was the fact that instead of tapping out, I was able to tap in. And instead of like shaming and blaming my body for like, it didn't look this way, it wasn't perfect that way, I don't like that this is, my ass is bigger, my thighs are bigger, I don't have boobs like the other girls, like all the shit I'd said since I was like, what, 12 or 13? I was able to finally be like, oh my God, like, thank you. You can do this for me. You can hold this pose. You can be present. You can breathe. You can see. Like, as the teacher, he kept like calling to like, aren't you grateful that you have feet? Think of people who don't have feet. Aren't you grateful that you can like focus right now and you can breathe and you can be with me? Like, what a joy. What a beautiful thing this is. And it sounds silly to be like, oh, it was such a life-changing moment, but instead of beating my body up and shaming it for not doing the things that are frankly just vanity, I was able to be grateful for what it can do and what it has done. And that really, like, I mean, altered the way that I look at my body. And I think it's made me a better therapist, because when I started working in the eating disorder treatment field, one of the jobs that I took was at this treatment center, and I had to run this group because one of the girls just like last minute quit, and they're like, Katie, you're up, you have to run this body and soul group. And I was like, body and soul, like what the fuck does that mean? And she was like, you know, like relationship with your body and like body image. And I remember thinking like, I don't know anything about that. Like I'm still like grappling with my own shit. But it was so incredibly healing. And one of the things that I would have people do is write thank you letters to their body, because we so often are just mad at like how it looks. Like one of my close friends is struggling with long COVID, and she was telling me the other day, she was like, you know, I've been shaming and blaming my body for like, you don't fit into these jeans and your stomach is like bigger than it used to be. She's like, I'm just yelling at myself all the time. And she's like, meanwhile, my body's like fighting a war I don't know anything about, because now I have this like immune response that's happening. And she's, you know, recently got diagnosed with something. And she's like, can't I just be grateful for the fact that it shows up for me every day and offers me the support that I need? And I think it's those messages and those things that I personally need to remember and need to recall. Like yesterday morning, I'm trying to like think early in the morning, like today's gonna be a great day because I'm gonna do this and that. And then I get to do that, and like just walking my mind through where I wanna focus that day. And the other day I woke up and I was a little sore because I did yoga, and I was like, God, thank you, back, for like holding me in place and not like going out of alignment and making it so I can't walk. Thank you, feet, for being able to do this. Like, I have my mobility. That's a beautiful thing. Not everybody has that. I can see you right now. I can breathe. I can feel this. This is all amazing. And my body does all of this stuff, even with me shit talking it 24/7. Amazing, right? And I think just if that can be helpful to any of you, that like you don't have to love your body every day. I'm not saying I wake up and I'm like, oh, thank you, body, you're so amazing. Some days I'm like, I feel like fucking shit and I want to shit talk myself all day. And maybe I do, because I'm not a perfect person, but I am grateful for the fact that I got COVID in March. Sean and I both did. I never lost my taste and smell, thank God. I didn't have to go to the hospital. I recovered. I also am able to do yoga 3 times a week. I'm able to go swimming with my friends. I'm able to go to the lake and have Roxy try to climb onto me and claw my eyes out, and I'm fine. You know, there's things that my body does every day. And even if I treat it poorly and talk shit to it, it still shows up for me. And sometimes I just need to be reminded that I need to show up for it. And it's still a work in progress, and I'm 38 years old. And I am happy to tell you that it does get easier, but as you get older, it just changes, because some of the things you used to be able to do, you can't. And then I have to offer my body a little bit of grace, because I'm like, hey, your knees kind of hurt because you're 38. And also, you beat the shit out of it in your teens and 20s. So like, good luck, you know? Like, I've done things, I've had injuries, and I pay for those now. But I have to thank my body for showing up for me and trying anyways and letting me push through. And so don't forget to thank your body, because right now it's breathing, your heart is beating, it's regulating all sorts of things that you know, I'm not a doctor, so I don't understand all of the inner workings, but I know our nervous system, and it's doing a shit ton of work just to keep us calm and present and here and managing everything that's happening in our world. And yet we get up, we go about our day, and it does that. And so sometimes we just have to be grateful. And I just want you to know that if you feel like, but it's supposed to be body positivity, I'm supposed to love myself, we're just supposed to work on it, right? We're all under construction in some form or another, and it's okay to just be there. And I think as soon as I accepted that it's not perfect and that I can't control everything, and my body's doing the best it can, the better I feel. You know, and the less shit talking I do. And I catch myself quickly when I'm doing it. Like even this morning I was putting on jeans, because who likes jeans? Nobody. And I was like, these don't feel right. And I was like, don't go there. Snap out of it, like slap yourself in the face. And I was like, you know, today's gonna be a good day. You know, just change the subject. Think about something else. Yeah, I know that's kind of rambling, probably doesn't make any sense, but that's just my process, and that's where I'm at, and that's where I've been. And hopefully that just helps remind you that if you're having a tough body image day, or if you shit talk yourself, you're not alone. And if I can catch it, if I notice it, and I try to change the conversation, it doesn't have to be a positive one. It just has to not be so shitty. And I can thank my body for one thing that it does without me making it do it, I'll feel so much better. So maybe that's helpful. I would love it if any of you have tools and techniques and things that have really helped you, like honestly, earnestly, leave it in the comments, because we can learn from one another as we all work to be more kind to ourselves and each other. Have a great week.